Tonight, we're told there is sadness inside the St. Johns County Sheriff's Office as one of their own is now accused of stealing money from a children's charity. Word of that arrest coming in late this evening, with Sheriff David Shore expressing disappointment that one of his own is accused of stealing from the Police Athletic League.
We're told this investigation into Sergeant Robert Gober started a few months ago. The Sheriff's Office says Gober spent more than $1,300 on everything from car repairs to new sunglasses. Channel 4's Francesca Amaker joining us live from the league's facility in St. Augustine. Fran?
And Joy and Ken, I'm told this sergeant was well respected within the St. Johns County Sheriff's Office. In fact, for the past decade, he worked with the Police Athletic League. And actually, when he started, only 50 kids were a part of the league. And now, since he's been executive director, they now have 1,000 kids. But a couple of months ago, that gig was no longer for Sergeant Gober. Now, let's just go ahead and show you who this man is. Now, according to a very detailed press release from the Sheriff's Office, employees noticed that some PAL funds were not being accounted for. And after an investigation, it was revealed that numerous questionable charges ranging from hotel rooms for PAL trips, gift cards, and dinners that included alcohol were purchased. The investigation also revealed that he spent $1,300 on things like sunglasses, a vehicle repair bill, bike repairs, and tickets to an NBA basketball game. Now, the Police Athletic League is a very big deal here in the county and allows middle school age children to engage in sports like football, basketball, and karate. It has dozens of volunteers. So tonight, Sheriff David Shore shared the news that he had this to say when speaking to multiple dedicated members. Here's part of the quote. "Although I am very disappointed in the nature of this case, our folks recognized a potential problem and reported it. And after determining there was culpability, we held the person accountable and we put in place additional financial control measures that will hopefully keep this kind of problem from ever occurring again." Now, again, most of the feeling here was a lot of disappointment tonight, but we know that he is facing charges, and that big charge is the criminal charge of organized scheme to defraud. I'm live in St. Johns County. Francesca Amaker, Channel 4, the local station.
Francesca, what's Gober standing with the Sheriff's Office right now at this point?
Well, Joy, on that press release, it did say he was separated from the agency, but after inquiring with officials, we learned that he resigned under investigation. Next, this case will be seen by a panel, and they will decide if Gober will ever become a law enforcement agent ever again.
Francesca Amaker reporting live for us tonight. Fran, thank you.
Charged with fraud over mishandled PAL funds, prosecutors filed a fraud charge Thursday against a former St. Johns County Sheriff's Sergeant who authorities said embezzled funds from the Police Athletic League he oversaw. Robert Gober III is accused of treating the non-profit organization's coffers like a personal piggy bank and recklessly spending thousands of dollars on food, alcohol, and entertainment for those close to him. He's charged with organized scheme to defraud, a third-degree felony. The debit card practices by Gober show that he spends thousands of dollars each year for dinners and entertainment for himself and a small group of coaches that are also his personal friends, under the guise of coaches' meetings, according to an offense report. Gober turned himself in at the Putnam County Jail Friday, where he was booked and released on his own recognizance. He faces a maximum penalty of 5 years in prison if convicted. The 24-year veteran of the force was placed on paid leave and removed from his duties as executive director for the St. Johns County Police Athletic League when an investigation into the group's spending practices began in September. He resigned last month while under investigation. Detectives opened an investigation after receiving a tip that raised questions about where some of the organization's money had gone. An offense report details roughly $1,300 authorities said Gober used to pay for personal expenses, such as $250 for tickets to a Washington Wizards NBA game, nearly $200 for a pair of sunglasses, and roughly $400 for various fantasy football purchases. Right or wrong, there may have been a few times I used the card when mine wouldn't go through, but I knew that I had invested quite a bit of money in PAL, Gober told investigators, according to the report. A close look at the organization's finances also uncovered over $30,000 in questionable purchases over the years that investigators said would likely not have been approved by a higher authority if reviewed beforehand. Among those expenses were $1,200 for multiple trips to Ginnie Springs and $1,400 for restaurant tabs, including 2 meals where alcohol was served, $362 at Spy Global Cuisine, and $180 at Longhorn Steakhouse. Gober told investigators treating volunteers and coaches to dinner was an accepted practice as long as it was PUL-related, and that he was under the impression he could use league funding to pay for alcohol as long as he didn't turn in a receipt with alcohol on it, according to the report. The report said Gober also paid volunteer coaches, announcers and referees for the program, a practice his predecessor disagreed with because they were volunteers. Several of the volunteers confirmed they'd been paid varying sums. Confronted about hundreds of dollars in cash that remained missing when the report was compiled, Gober told investigators he had kept $250 in the concessions till for startup money and another $400-600 for game day payouts. He chalked up the discrepancies between the money collected and deposited as sloppy bookkeeping. A sheriff's spokesman said the allegations that thousands of dollars were misspent on Gober's watch were disappointing, particularly because the program had grown from about 50 children to more than 1,000 under his leadership. Certainly it's a disappointment for us. There are numerous individuals involved in the program, especially young people who looked up to the sergeant we put in place, said CMDR Chuck Mulligan. Mulligan said the sheriff's office is rolling out safeguards, annual audits, better record keeping, additional oversight, to prevent abuse in the future. Garrett Pelican, 904-359-4385.